Yeah, I'm Filipino actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could tell.
Where are you from again?
South India / Sri Lanka.
Oh, okay, cool. Um, so okay, then tell me a little bit about like just to backtrack. What's your relationship with your family like? Are you an only child? Do you have siblings?
I have an older sister who I barely speak to.
Okay. Do you speak to your mom and dad at all?
Uh, I speak to both of them, but it's a bit iffy because it's like they're in like the same kind of box. Like it's like I do think it's hard to explain. It's like I do my best for them, but I'm not emotionally attached to what happens to them or to what they say and do because I can't control it. In the sense that like I try to help my mom, but she doesn't try to help herself. So there's not much I can do about that.
Yeah.
Like she's quite sick, and like I thought it was mainly because like a lot of it was physical, but like a big chunk of it is like mental, like her symptoms, like her physical symptoms as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like hard for me to help her. Like one of the things I had to do is like over the last year, I've lived like the year before I went to uni, so like last year of high school, I lived alone because my mom was very upset living in the UK because her husband, like not my dad, like my stepdad, he lives in Canada. So like I like she tried to come back for me, and then she would be like miserable here. So I kind of did. In a polite way, I told her to piss off. I was like,
Yeah.
"Go do what you gotta do."
Yeah.
And it's like my dad has his own set of issues, but then I find it hard to blame him because he grew up in a war zone. Like, how can I? Like, I've done some stupid shit, and I know a lot of people who've done a lot of stupid shit with a lot less. Like compared to him, I'm so fucking unbelievably blessed. So like, even if he did a lot of fucked up things, I can't blame him. Like,
Okay. Um. Wow. So wow, man, you're giving me a lot to work with because I feel like this is good. This is good because I love getting to know new people, and I very much deeply resonate with your story because I felt like I've been dealing with this for a long time in my own journey. And I still kind of deal with it, but I've sort of made my peace with it, if that makes sense. And I think the best I can do is just offer my perspective, and I think that's going to help you out a lot. But I just have one last question before I info dump some stuff on you, which is like, um, yeah, the last question that comes to mind is why. Sorry, I just gotta find a way to frame this. Um,
no, bro.
oof. Where did you get that fear of like judgment from? Because it sounds like there's definitely a fear here,
Parents.
right? There's a fear here of like if you are your authentic self, there's a fear here that you're gonna get judged for that, right? Or that you're not gonna meet people who like vibe with you on that wavelength. And it sounds like that fear isn't just the uni friends or the the mates that you're meeting now. Um, it sounds like it's kind of like sounds like you've had a similar fear in a lot of other respects, right? Like fear of being judged or just fear of like um, not being in control of something, what have you. I don't know. But like, where did you get that fear of getting judged from? Am I describing it correctly at all?
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't just say it's just being judged. It's like I feel like most of my life I was a Jeffrey, but like how do I put it? I feel like everyone kind of subconsciously knows whether they're a Jeffrey or not, right?
Mhm.
Like, if you're a Jeffrey, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, as long as it's like not being enough, or like not being good enough at anything, like with my parents, or like compared to my sister, or like compared to the other kids at school. Because I went to a private school for secondary school, and like that's one of the top sports schools in the area. Do you watch football, like soccer?
Only when like soccer's like popular. Like I was rooting for like Portugal for a while, but like I don't like what I'm like a bandwagon.
Yes, you don't know players like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like a
One of the
bandwagon.
kids who went to my school played in the World Cup in Germany, like
Oh
for
shit!
Germany.
Oh shit! That's pretty
That's the
crazy.
kind of like
Yeah.
level. Like
Yeah.
I'd go there, look at these man, think I'm a thug,
Yeah.
and then like get judged and all these things, and then go home. All sorts of shit happening at home, and it's like I kind of just got used to like not doing anything because the dynamic was like my mom would get mad, some big fight, my dad would get mad, some big fight, my sister would get mad, some big fight, and like I'd never want to escalate it in the sense that like I was always too scared to.
Yeah.
So I was gonna just stay out of the way and shut my mouth.
Yeah.
And then like I don't know how to put it. It's like some part like deep is just like it doesn't matter what you do. Like this is your place,
Mhm.
kind of.
Yeah.
Even though like objectively I've made it like a lot farther.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
like this might sound egotistical again, but like I feel like objectively I'm doing a lot better than a lot of kids my age. Especially with the situation I've had. Like I had a house alone for myself for like a year, and I did not do any stupid shit in there, like ridiculously stupid shit. I was like, or I'm not gonna get into too many other details, but it's just like that's like I feel like objectively I know I'm doing well, but it's still kind of like there.
Okay. All right. Wave. I'm gonna share with you a teaching that I think is gonna change your life. Okay. So I want you to really hear out what I'm about to say. Right. First thing is that it's okay to compartmentalize relationships. So from a very practical viewpoint, it's definitely fine if you are like, say, for example, like if you feel like you're hiding certain things about yourself, because the reality is that the you that you give your family isn't the same you that you would give your friends, right? Like you hide certain aspects of yourself when it comes to like your family versus your community, and that's totally fine. And that's just because you have a different emotional resonance when it comes to these type of people, right? Someone you just meet, you wouldn't necessarily want to give them your whole life story, but maybe they're fun to talk to, and maybe they're fun to go to the gym with, right? That's totally fine to compartmentalize relationships in that sense, where it's like you say in your head, like, oh, like I have my gym bros and I have my really close friends, because the reality is like the me that I would show like Massimo is different from the me I would show to you, for example, right? Or the me that I would show my actual friends, or the me I would show my mom or my dad. They're all still me at the end of the day, and I can understand that and like appreciate that fact that there's so many different aspects and levels to me, and as well as like different aspects and levels to you, right? That's what a good relationship is. It's when we start peeling back the layers of someone. When you start revealing those things, it makes them feel more like a person, because it makes them feel more authentic, right? Because everyone's gone through some shit. So when you can make that connection, when you compartmentalize a relationship, it's kind of like you're giving someone a promotion in your life, right? Like if you start hanging out with that gym bro after the gym, right? And you get him on self-improvement. Maybe he stops going out for drinks, and maybe he starts working on himself instead, right? You'd probably get closer with him just by the virtue of the fact that you recognize he's now a hardworking person. He probably didn't know that about himself, but you gave him that opportunity to work on that, right? So I'd say it's totally fine to like compartmentalize, because at the end of the day, you only have so much time in your day to give to people. So what you want to be focused on is spending it with the people who are like actually like bringing you up, right? To start, you don't want to get bogged down by people who just want to go out for drinks or people who just want to have some fun. I totally understand what you mean by the people who aren't very forward thinking. Those are the kind of people you actually want to avoid, because if anything, they're going to be more of a detriment to you or to your progress, right? Because they're not going to, like, those type of people, they generally like stay the same for most of their lives, right? Like, life doesn't figure itself out in a sense. Like, you kind of have to be a strategic motherfucker to get what you want. And the thing is that I don't think you should worry so much about trying to be more authentic to them. For example, I think you're going to know when you can be more authentic with them, right? Because you have that experience of experiencing so many different people from so many different walks of life, right? That you kind of understand how to keep things light, but also how to keep things, how to like kind of dig into that next level of your relationship, right? So does that part make sense?
It makes sense. I feel like I kind of already apply that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I don't know how to put it, like, the people that I do a lot with, I tend to want to speak more.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, it's kind of, for me, it's hard, but, like, I spend a lot of time with somebody doing other stuff, but then, like, there's no real brotherhood after the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you get me, like, I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Like, for me, that's always the weirdest part, like, of a friendship to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even when I was making friends with my badminton friends back home, like, for the most, like, when I first started training with them, it was quite fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd do a lot together. Like, we'd go train and then go eat afterwards, and we'd see like Saturday nights 7 to 11 training and then go eat. Like, but that gap between like me wanting to be more honest with them and then like me actually being more honest with them because I felt like I could was kind of tough.
Yeah.
And here I feel like the more I speak to people, the more I want to, but then like I know objectively I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
I think where that issue is stemming from is your issue when it comes to judgment, or I'll use a different word here that should fit better. It's called validation, right? Because I think what you're getting stuck up on is you're trying to control the variables of the validation or the judgment that you're receiving, right? And I think what you need to learn actually is something that I learned probably most recently, because I've been doing self-improvement for about 6 years now, right? I started around 18, 19, very similar reasons to you. But I think one thing that would have helped me early on, and I'm going to share it with you now, because I want you to hear this when you're like 19, turning 20, and not when you're like 29, 30, turning 30 and about to go to like a mental ward, right? I want you to, let's do an exercise together, okay? So close your eyes and imagine a white circle, and let me know when you have them closed. Some of the guys in chat have seen me do this before, so I'm going to do it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have that white circle in your head?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that white circle represents your self-esteem. And what we do is when we try to grow the white circle, we're actually trying to do things to grow our self-esteem, right? So whether that's learning a new sport, or getting a six-pack of abs, or getting a hot wife, or making a lot of money, right? All those things add up to growing the white circle, right? And there's sort of formula here that we use to grow that white circle. It's basically like hunger equals ambition equals effort equals progress. And when we make progress, we grow the circle, right? You know, who wouldn't want progress? Who wouldn't want to grow their circle of self-esteem, right? So now imagine all the things you've done to grow your self-esteem. Now imagine your circle getting bigger, right? Is that getting bigger in your head?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now be open to this, but now within that big white circle that you've just imagined, imagine like a little red dot. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That red dot, no matter how big you grow the circle, that little red or little black dot, seems to stay the same, right? That's actually the thing you want to try to solve, because that's the thing that's actually making you unhappy. Have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you've made it, where you feel like you had all these things, but you still feel unhappy? You still feel like something's missing deep inside?
Mm-hmm.
That's the dark circle, right? And the dark circle is basically what we pick up when we grow the self-esteem circle, right? The dark circle represents things like a need for control, or a need for influence, or a need for reputation, a need for validation, a need to control judgment, a need to judge, a need to gossip, a need to dominate, which is like trying to be better or be the best or be superior to others. A need to compromise, a need to like make sure everyone's feeling included or everyone feels good, or the need to like basically it's just any sort of fear that's driven primarily by it's basically just any fear that's driven primarily by emotion, right? That's what that little dark circle represents in your big white circle of self-esteem. And that's the thing, no matter, for a lot of people in like their 30s, 40s, 50s, and you can trust me on this because I've worked with like Grammy award winning musicians. I work in film and TV, by the way. I've worked with like people with like hundreds of millions of dollars. I've worked with billionaires. I've worked with like pop artists, right? I've literally worked with The Weeknd, like the actual Weeknd, not just Shreyas, right? The thing with these people is that they never seem to like resolve their fucking dark circle. That's why you see like pop artists like killing themselves on TV and stuff, right? Here's what you need to actually do to resolve your personal dark circle, okay? It's called, I learned this from self-improvement, but do you know what the highest like level of the self-improvement tech tree is?
A tech tree or the
Yeah, imagine like a tech tree of self improvement where it's like the bottom tech tree is like meditation and reading and like working out and stuff, right? And as you get higher, it goes like deeper, like looks maxing and all that stuff, right? Do you know what the highest tier of that self improvement tech tree is?
base level self-esteem, I'm guessing.
It's actually the highest tier, one of the highest tiers, right? It's not just one, but it's called the power of letting go. Now, what does that mean? I'll explain it right now. When you can basically learn to surrender to the outcome of decisions, or learn to surrender to factors that are outside of your control, your dark circle and your white circle of ego, that actually disappears. Like you can't kill it. Like you basically just make peace with it, right? And now the dark circle, what happens is that it kind of blends in with the rest of the white circle. Now you get like this like basically like gray circle, and there's no longer a need for you to grow the white circle because you've basically resolved the core issue that you're having, whatever that may be in your dark circle of emotion, right? Whether that's your need for validation, or a need for control, or a need for influence, or a need for judgment, right? Or a need to judge, or a need for others to perceive you a certain way, right? It's all need. It's all attachment. Right? You don't want attachment in your life because attachment actually drags you down, right? If you are attaching yourself to ideas of you, your white circle is basically fucked. Because what society teaches you is that appearance equals worth, right? So when society teaches you that, you do things that make you want to grow the white circle so that your worth grows up, right? So you do things like you go join badminton, or you get really good at badminton, or you like, you pick up a girl or something, right? Or you like make a bunch of money, right? You do all those things because appearance equals worth. That's what society tells you. But the true answer is that appearance doesn't equal worth. You have worth as a living, breathing human. The fact that you exist so that you can have this conversation with me right now, there's already value and worth in that, because of all the things that had to happen before you to make you exist, right? You intrinsically have value as a human for existing. And when you realize that, there's no longer a need to grow your white circle anymore. There's no longer a need for that. And in fact, you can apply the power of just letting go. You can apply that in anything you feel like you might be attached to right now, right? So open your eyes and basically, like, I'll just run this down, but you could use the power of letting go in a lot of scenarios that you're facing. You could choose to let go of like past traumas. You could choose to let go of anxieties about the future. You could choose to let go of the fact that you might be scared of being your authentic self because you're scared about the judgment you would receive, or you're like fearful of sort of whatever result you might get. You can choose to let that go because those things are outside of your control. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a bit weird. Like sometimes, or with the letting go things, I can do it for certain stuff, and I've done it a lot for certain stuff. Like on the family side, especially, like a lot of like initially with badminton, like when I was training a lot. At one point, I was training 6 times a week, and I wasn't getting that much result relatively. So I kind of got used to the idea like process over results. I love your process. But then for certain things, like I feel like I'm attached, and like I don't know how to detach from,
Right.
detach from those certain things.
Right.
Because I feel like I've kind of got that in my head. Like I'm not to put it like that's the thing that's like one of the core values, or like the way I was raised, or like I don't know how to put it. Like for me, it's like you mentioned looks or something like that, right? Like for me, that's something I get very like feel insecure about. Like if I, especially when I'm like about to go talk to girls, like I feel like it's not gonna work because I'm ugly, or like there's like some level of competency in that I have to achieve before I matter in that sense, or like I'm valuable in that particular sense. If you get me?
Yeah.
Like, or I don't have to be amazing looking with a 6-pack to be a good friend or a good son, or like a good badminton player.
Yeah.
Or like to get more into my religion or anything like that. But for me to talk to girls, I have to.
Yeah.
I just have to.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, it does not matter. It's kind of the way I feel.
Yeah. For my own personal business, I got my first client, like my first big 4-figure client at like 19, right? And it was for like a national newspaper here in Canada. It's called the Globe and Mail. You're probably familiar with them, right? So when I started that job, I was kind of in a phase of my life where I was just okay with being me, but I kind of knew I had to like change certain things about myself in order to fit in, because you go to the Globe Mail and they're a predominantly like white Anglo-Saxon Protestant type culture, right? Like everyone who works there all looks the same, and I felt like I had to do that too. I felt like I had to like cut my hair short. I had to wear like white shirts and like a nice chino pants and stuff, and like I felt like I had to like kind of get rid of a lot of the things that made me happy, like more like my fashion. Like I was really into fashion. I had a lot of like pop punk, lots of like punk looks and stuff like that. I felt like I had to give that up in order to kind of progress and make this job work and build my business, right? And I look back on that and I actually regret that a lot, only because I realized it just wasn't me. Like I actually realized like I was if anything, I wasn't actually in control when I did that. It didn't actually help me that I cut my hair short, or that I looked white, or that I spoke white, right? Like I literally killed my language. Like I stopped speaking it so that I could just speak English all the time, right? I can barely remember Tagalog these days. I look back on that and I regret it because I realized I wasn't actually in control when I did those things. I was actually just a slave to control, right?
Yeah.
So like, when you say that you have problems like still being attached from, still detaching from these things, right? From detaching from the idea that looks matter. You're not actually in control of your looks. You're actually a slave to your looks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, I get what you mean now, because like I can externally affect my looks, but I'm still like beholden to it.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, if I'm lucky enough that it's, like not lucky enough, if I like work hard enough that it's good, I'm still like it's still like a major factor. Like something could happen to me, or like I could get old, and it would still, or like certain genetic limitations, and that's still. Like, how do I put it? Like, it still affects me mentally, and that's not how it should be.
Yeah.
But it's really weird, because it's like, looks itself affects me, and I get scared to go talk to a girl or something like that if I feel like I'm looking like shit.
Yeah.
But then I've also been in a situation where, like, I've gotten rejected, but I don't really care, because it's just like, relative to other shit I've already let go, it's not that bad. Like, compared to the situation I described earlier, what the fuck is some random bitch telling me she don't like me?
Yeah, exactly.
On the real, man, like, say mums, bro, like, girl likes white guys, like, I don't know, what am I gonna do with my life now?
Yeah. Bro, you have no idea how many times I've, like, struck out just because the girl was like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not my type. And in my head, all I'm thinking is, like, it's because I'm not white, or it's because I'm not, like, 6 foot, you know?
Oh, it's bad. Look, this is a complete random sidetrack. I apologize to everyone here.
Go ahead.
It's bad annoying when girls from like your own culture want white guys.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you, bro. Like you probably chat to a bare Filipino gal that want like some 6 foot blonde white guy with blue eyes and shit, like some Hitler type shit, bro. Like,
bro. Bro, man just like fucking called me out so hard right now. He just like read my mind. Because it's like so real. It's so real.
So go ahead, man.
No. Just to add on to your tangent, like right now I help out my family's like business, right? Like my family has a bake shop. And it's so real what you mentioned because like I'm talking to like Asian girls on a daily basis again, and like they're all so cute, bro. Like I really appreciate like female beauty a lot more now after getting on self-improvement. But like I'll see like I'd say like at least 1 out of 3 has a white boyfriend. And, like, I've noticed this recently. And I'm like, that's interesting, you know? I don't know. That's all I'm saying. But, like, I totally feel what you mean. But, I will say there's actually, like, just to get back on topic, this is a good transition point. Because, I felt like that for, like, a majority of my dating life, right? Like, most of the girls I dated, despite the fact that I talk to, like, ABGs all the time now, I have never dated an Asian girl, or have never like really like had a long-term thing with one. I have had like dates here and there in high school, but all my girls have been like white or like of that sort, right? Like European in origin or whatever. And to me, it was like
capacity.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what was interesting for me? It was interesting once I realized that like the things that I thought I was maximizing, it was actually just me running away from the fact that I couldn't handle the fact that I wasn't actually white, even though everyone around me kept saying I was whitewashed, right? It was the fact that I couldn't actually be white that was like bothering me a lot for some reason. And like I actually have to laugh about it now because then once I actually quit that job and actually started working more with people of just all cultures, right? Just in general, just started being more myself around people, right? It took a while, but it was actually recognizing the fact that it goes back to the teaching I gave you, which is the fact that society teaches you to have worth. You have to have certain things, or you have to be certain things, but your worth is intrinsic to you anyway, right? Once I got that through my head, it actually became a lot easier to let go of things because I'm not actually missing out on anything for letting go of this, right? Like, for me, like, I could let go of the fact that if a girl isn't interested in me just because I'm not white, or just because I'm not 6 foot, or because, like, I have a super deep voice or anything like that, it's her loss. You know what I mean? That's a
mindset I kind of struggle with.
Yeah.
Because,
really?
like, yeah. I find it very, like, it's weird, like, religiously, like, we have the same thing where, like, we say life has just, like, we say, like, I'm Hindu, so it's not life has value as like the soul has value, but, like, it's the same kind of gist in it. But to me, like, I'm struggling to, like, really, like, truly believe that. In the sense of, like, I'm not, like, mad I'm not white. Like, I'm very glad I'm brown. But,
yeah.
Like, but it's one of them ones where, like, even though I objectively know personality-wise, I'm there, and then, like, focus-wise, I'm there. Like, I might be taking it a bit slow now, but I know at some point in my life I will get there financially.
Right.
Like, it's just, I still feel like I struggle to disconnect the self-worth aspect from that. But, like, if I take an L in that regard, like, I won't care in the sense that, like, I'll be like, cool, you gotta do better because you're not shit right now.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I shouldn't be looking at it as like a test that I need to pass, or like the way I'm seeing it is like, or the way I feel about it is that, like, if I was better I would have gotten it. But then, like, that might not be the case. Like, it might just be like they have like a very, like, or socially anyway, I feel like I'm looking for a right answer sometimes, or like if I get upset, or like if I'm not perfectly on my shit, or if I'm like, it's weird, like sometimes that physiological stuff has influence. Like, if I've barely slept a certain day, I'll start thinking stupid shit. Like, I might be like, how do I put it, like, I might be like, oh, this only went wrong because I'm not jacked enough, or because my hair's fucking horrendous. Like, I'm trying to grow my hair out and it's like, oh, it's looking bad, or some next bullshit like that. Or like, you don't know how to talk, if you know what I mean. Like, I've got zero riz because I've never really tried.
Right.
Like, in the sense of, like, I haven't actually approached that many girls overall, I think.
Have you heard of something called the Sedona method?
No.
Okay, so this was like my introduction to the power of letting go, right? The power of letting go by itself is like it's like a 1,000-year-old concept, right? Like, every world religion teaches it. I'm kind of like low-key mad that self-improvement doesn't talk more about it, because it's actually like overpowered when you start applying it. But my introduction was something called the Sedona method, right? The Sedona method is basically like an analytical way to kind of, it's basically a framework to let your brain kind of work through an emotion in the moment, right? So the next time you feel like a fear coming through your body, like when you, say, for example, have a fear of talking to someone, like, say, like, you start feeling that fear when, like, you know, you feel like you want to, like, be closer with this person, but you get that, like, that knee-jerk reaction to kind of, like, just push it down, right? There's basically 3 questions you ask yourself with the Sedona method when you're facing a fear. First question is, could I let this go, right? And that basically forces you to define, like, what you're letting go of, right? So if you're like, say you met me and you really wanted to tell me about your childhood, right? And there was, like, actually a decent context for it. But you were, like, kind of really just pushing down that feeling of, like, just getting close with me, right? Just, like, stop, take a breath. And the first question you ask is, could I let this go? Could I let go of the feeling of being judged for my past, right? So if you answer yes to that, then you move on to the next question. Would I let this go, right? Would I let go of this feeling of being judged for my past? Would I let go of an attachment to my past in general, right? And then the last question you ask is, when will I let this go, right? It's basically giving yourself a time and place to bring that into reality. Like, if, say, like, you're dealing with, like, a video game addiction, for example, right? Say, could I let this go? Could I let video games go? Cool, great. Would I let this go? Would I let video games go? Yeah, I would, like, 100%. If it meant I could be happier, I would. And the last question being, when will I let this go? When will I let go of video games? I'll let go tonight, right? You just unplug your thing. It could be as simple as that, and that's what I advise people to do when they're just starting out on practicing letting go, right? I advise them to start with the Sedona method, right? For the small little things if they're just starting out. I think for you, though, it's still going to be useful because you're basically going to have to, like, dive into your psyche about, like, what you're actually feeling in the moment, right? So say, for example, if it's something about bringing up your past, like ask yourself, could I let go of my past? Would I let go of my past? When will I let go of my past, right? Because the thing about that thing specifically is the past doesn't exist, right? It's actually not real anymore. So like, why should you let it affect you now in the present, right? That version of you, like yesterday or like 10 years ago, that's gone. As in, like, it literally doesn't exist anymore. And so is the future you. So is like the future representation of what you think you will be or what you hope to be. That doesn't exist either, right? The only thing that's actually real right now is this moment. This very moment right now. This is the only thing that's actual. This is the only thing that's in reality, right? So this is the only thing you can actually affect, right? I tell people that because it also helps a lot of people when it comes to, say, like letting go of like past traumas, right? Because a lot of people like to cope. A lot of people like to cope and say like, oh, but I went through so much or whatever. It's like, yeah, shit, bro. Everyone went through something, right? Like, what makes you so special? I'm not saying that to you or anything, but I'm just saying like, there's a reason why you get annoyed when someone's like trying to use like their past as like a defense, right?
No, I get you.
Yeah.
I mean, so like, someone don't understand that everything's relative. Like,
yeah.
For me, what I went through is tough. But like, what the rich kid has to deal through is tough for him.
Yeah.
And it's like, I might want that, but the starving kid in Yemen wants my life, innit?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, I think like I think if anything, I think the most actionable thing that would help you out, like this very moment, is just asking yourself like, what's holding you back, basically. What are some of the things that? Hey, welcome. Good to see you, man. I saw your post and advice. I was like, yeah, this is a good looking motherfucker. This guy's got chin and everything. Yeah. But
I'll DM you a photo of what I used to look like. It's fucking jokes.
I love that. I'd love
that. Continue, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, all I was gonna say is like one really good actionable thing I think would help you out a lot right now is just ask yourself like, what's holding you back, right? What's holding you back from finding more authentic friends, or what's holding you back from being more authentic? Because that was like the crux of the issue, right? Like, what's holding you back from being more authentic? And if you just kind of like close your eyes and just think deeply about that, if you have the answer, just start running the Sedona method through that, right? Like, run the Sedona method, ask yourself the 3 questions. Could I let this go? Would I let this go? When will I let this go?